I think a good prison is made from solid foundations, built from necessity, with love and care, with multiple functions in mind. It must take into account not only protection from the outside, but also the possibility of self-injury from those inside. A good prison demands carefully planned security and smooth, rounded edges for safety. It must have clear boundaries and perimeter, a sense of what you can and cannot do. The use of bars serves to contain, but at the same time gives the illusion of expanse and freedom, a place where the imagination can spill and flow beyond the bars.
Doing this. It's time to talk about Max.
Really? But I'm worried about what they'll think.
I'm not.
How can you not be worried? The police were called. The police!
Look, let me explain. They said, and I quote,
"Last strike, son."
They slung him in a cell.
Don't do the accent.
Like a G.
God's sake.
He means like a gangster, but it wasn't like that at all. He just needed to cool off.
Next time, and there will be a next time. He won't be so lucky, so something needs to be done.
Does it? I mean, really, does it?
Max needs a firm hand.
Yeah, but there's a disagreement about what exactly that means and who should take the lead.
When you love someone, you do everything in your power to help them, don't you?
How far are you willing to go? Could get dangerous. Are you ready to get your hands dirty?
Oh, I'm the only one who gets their hands dirty.
You know, I'd love to see you get your hands
All right, it won't come to that. Really, all this fuss over a sandwich.
Over a sandwich.
Over a sandwich.
I should probably explain, properly this time, from the beginning. This morning, Max sits in a cafe. It's a beautiful, glass-fronted cafe. He's a man of leisure, our Max.
He's unemployed?
He's in between jobs, weighing up his options.
He's free from the shackles of societal shit.
He's a writer.
Yeah, as I said, unemployed.
Yes, but he is a writer.
He's never written anything. He's no more a writer than an astrophysicist.
It's all inside, waiting to come out. Anyway, he is sitting in the window, mulling over the menu.
May I interject?
Yes,
Thank you. Allow me to elucidate. There are so many other people in the cafe, a mother and a child, 2 old ladies sipping Earl Grey, a man and a poodle.
And Max?
Yes, Max. He is sitting in the glass window. The waiter comes over to take his order. He orders a sandwich.
Some time passes.
The sandwich arrives.
The wrong sandwich.
An innocent Mistake.
which Max points out.
The waiter...
Makes a sound.
A breath.
A snigger.
The waiter leaves.
To make another sandwich.
Max gets up.
The waiter turns.
Max smiles.
Here we go.
Picks up his chair. Lifts it above his head and smashes it into the window.
There is the terrible sound of breaking glass.
Then silence. Everyone stares.
Afraid.
The mother clutches her child to her chest. The old ladies tremble. Even the poodle cowers in fear.
Yes, he's done this. Him.
He surveys the debris.
All this chaos. His creation.
There's broken glass everywhere. Glass on the pavement outside.
Well, yes, there is.
People are watching from the street.
The sound of a siren getting closer.
He created this. All this glory. He made the world stop.
It starts in the pit of his stomach.
Oh, no, you don't.
Why do you always do this?
The blood drains from his face.
Party
Oh,
pooper.
he starts to notice the muttering of the stairs.
He doesn't care. Let them look. Gawping piss pots.
He can't ignore them.
He pushes them away.
Creeping paranoia.
He shuts it out.
What kind of a monster behaves like this?
A righteous one.
Oh, this isn't the first time, is it? Incidents, embarrassments, ugly altercations, a litany of tantrums.
Oh, here we go.
Grotesque sex in public toilets.
Kiss my ass.
Relieving himself on graves.
Well, when you've got to go, you've got to go.
Vandalism.
Political activism.
Loveless encounters.
The pure, visceral joy of a one-night stand.
Reckless decisions.
Battle scars.
Delinquent. Undisciplined. Attention-seeking. Oh, crass. Spiteful. Wicked. Nasty. And deep down at the bottom of it all, everyone knows he's a worthless piece of...
Shit! There's a table, a hand, a glass. It's so fragile. The tension is delicious. I just want to see how easily it could break.
Max wasn't always like this. Trapped between destruction and self-loathing. Picture a boy, 18 years old, consumed with an indescribable loneliness, but filled with hope that something is about to happen. He is ready for the future, the end of school, the beginning of freedom. His heart is an empty vessel waiting to be filled. At a party, music plays when doves cry.
It wasn't.
He dances to the music. He's a good dancer, an arresting dancer, yeah. He surveys the room. He sees a girl. Time stops. The rest of the room disappears. The other people fall away. She looks at him with recognition, like she's looking right through to the core of him. It's like looking in a mirror and seeing yourself for the first time. No longer sure where he ends and she begins, he starts to walk towards her. Their bodies meet. His edges dissolve. And he knows that this is it. The precious weekends, the parties, the mixtapes, the promises and declarations, the feeling of being sustained and held up by the loveliness of being loved, the sheer joy of another person reveling in his mind, his skin, his hair, drinking in the smell of him, wanting to touch him, wanting to be touched by him.
But
one day, she says she has something to tell him. He waits for her by the station. She looks into his eyes and she takes his hand. They walk together down the street towards the heath. They come to an empty spot. She lies on the grass and beckons for him to do the same. He lies with his back against hers, fetus curled. She puts her mouth close to his ear and she whispers, "You are wonderful and loved and precious. Trust me, it's better this way. You are wonderful and loved and precious. You are wonderful and loved and precious." And Max closes his eyes and smiles. They stay together on the grass. Night comes, yet still they stay, pressed against each other. Daylight comes, yet they remain. They need nothing else. They have no need for food or water. Days go by, weeks, yet still they are sustained by love alone. Months go by. They do not die and decay. Instead, their bodies turn to alabaster, become statues, a monument on the heath. Decades pass. Wars are fought, yet still they lie together, washed clean by the rain, a testament to love's immortality. You are wonderful, and loved and precious. You are wonderful, and loved and precious. You are wonderful, and loved and precious. You are wonderful and loved.
Court is in session. The defendant is on trial for murder.
Murder?
Well, the metaphorical murder of his relationship, and not just this relationship, every relationship he's ever had. How does he plead?
Not fucking guilty. This is a stitch-up. The defendant isn't even here. And where's the defence?
Well, I think we're the defence.
Who's the judge?
I call the first witness for the defence.
That answers that question.
The first witness for the defence. Oh, that's you.
Me?
Do you solemnly and sincerely and truly declare and affirm that the evidence you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Truth is such a slippery concept. It's very subjective.
It's that kind of slippery thinking that brings us here today, isn't it?
Is it? I think there are a couple of other factors at play too.
Oh, we'll get to those in due course. Now, let's go back to the first offence.
I don't know what you mean.
The party Max is dancing. To what?
When Doves Cry by Prince.
You sure about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, may I remind you that you are under oath.
Fine, it was tragedy by steps.
I would like to point out to the jury the first lie. Nor is the defendant an accomplished dancer, is he?
No, he's crap.
Now, this may seem like a minor detail, but let's examine the defendant's state of mind. He's a bad dancer, no one's taking any note of him. How does he feel?
Insecure.
Exactly. So when he sees the girl, does she look at him, and I quote, with recognition as if she can see right through to the core of him?
No, she doesn't even notice him.
How does that make him feel?
Worthless.
So when he does approach her, what's his state of mind?
Well, trepidatious, I suppose, but, I mean, isn't that how everyone feels at the beginning of a relationship?
Yeah, the adrenaline, the rush, the chase.
Fine. Could have been something incredible. It might have even worked. But he completely messed things up. The way you described the encounter, all about Max, no consideration for her at all. She might as well have been an object.
Oh, hang on!
Objection, Your Honour. The prosecution is leading the witness.
Overruled. For the sake of the jury, I would like to point out that the defendant began this relationship with nefarious intentions. He never took her feelings into consideration. He never even saw her as a human being, utterly selfish. Wasn't he?
Yes.
Objection! He was only a fucking boy. He didn't know how to have a relationship. They're stupid and pointless anyway for codependent pussy.
Overruled.
Fuck you.
We'll get to you in a minute. And this need to be loved, this selfishness, this insecurity. It was there underneath the whole time as the relationship progressed.
Well, the mixtapes were something nice.
Nice. How was he capable of being nice when he couldn't even see her as a human being?
Okay.
I would like to draw your attention to a few months later. Max waits at the station. He is nervous. Why?
Because he knows.
Knows? What?
She's going to leave him.
Exactly. So what's his frame of mind then?
Anxious.
Do they walk, hand in hand, towards the heath?
No.
She has no intention of going anywhere with him, does she?
No.
She wants to say something to him, doesn't she? What does she say?
She tells him the relationship isn't working.
Oh, could you speak up, please, so the jury can hear?
She tells him the relationship isn't working.
Why?
Because something is wrong with him. She says she doesn't know who he is. That he doesn't know who he is. That he thinks he loves her, but she doesn't feel seen or known. Then she says she wishes the best for him, which is worse because she pities him. And he has never felt so alone. He's standing there, and the ground crumbles beneath his feet, disappears completely. He looks into her eyes, but she is gone. far off into a future without him.
May I caution you that this is not the place for self-indulgent wallowing. We are looking at the cold, hard fact. The jury will overlook the utterly subjective description of the defendant's state of mind. What happens next?
She squeezes his shoulder and she walks away.
What does Max say?
He wants to tell
Never
her...
mind what he wants. What does he say?
Please, don't do this.
Resentment. Building up in him the reality of all his failings, the realisation that he is not enough. He will never be enough. What does he say?
This is what he says. You fucking fascist! Fuck you. You think you can just walk away from me? Oh, don't worry. I'm not gonna hit you. You're not worth the effort it would take to hit you. You're not worth the fucking months of life I've wasted. You're fucking nothing. You're a worthless piece of shit!
Well, I rest my case. Violent, threatening, misogynistic.
He loves women.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. That's exactly the kind of thing a misogynist would say. She couldn't stand him. She was always trying to get away from him. She never loved him. I sentence the defendant to a lifetime of shame.
He keeps taking the glass and moving it to the edge of the table. And there's a hand grabbing it back. It's huge and terrifying and sort of animal, covered in black hairs, veins popping.
My turn. We're gonna play a game now. A game of challenges. There's been too much sitting around talking shit. What are you waiting for? Run!
Oh, I'm not doing that.
Oh, yes, you are! Right. Challenges. You come up with them, and I tell you how Max overcomes them. Got it?
I think so. Why are we running?
It's a metaphor. You're metaphorically running.
Well, I'm going to get a metaphorical blister on my metaphorical ankle.
Good. Go.
Max is alone. The girl has just left him. He doesn't know what to do.
Easy. He makes a decision. Walks to the nearest pub, buys a drink, downs it in one, immediately starts to feel better.
Oh, but not for long. He starts to think about it. The thoughts come tumbling in.
He buys another drink.
The doubts, the shame.
And another.
All his failings.
And another. And another until they stop.
He's alone. An unlovable drunk mess.
He takes the bus into town.
He remembers the night buses home with her head on his lap.
Well, that's easy, isn't it? He gets off the bus. He walks into a club. He buys a pill from someone called Bozza in the men's loos. The club is a heaving mass of people. He pushes his way to the centre. The music pulses through him. It starts in his head, then through to his chest, his shoulders, his arms, his legs. He's beating her out of him. Ritual. He bounces off the walls, sweating and grinding. Oh, he's starting to come up. The pill has a nice edge of speed. He's slick against the other bodies, writhing against him. He feels incredible. Men, women, he loves them all. He takes a beer from a raised hand. The hand smacks him in the face. He staggers back. He rights himself. The world disappears. It's just the two of them. And he looks at the man's hands. Black hairs, veins, pulsing. They wrestle. Minutes later, they hold each other. Nothing and no one can hurt him. He dances again. His face a gorgeous mess of sweat and blood. The pill has reached its peak. He laughs and shouts until... oh, a wet mouth on his. He's sandwiched between a man and woman grinding. Stubble grazes his neck. Breasts against his chest. They tumble into a toilet. He devours and is devoured. He's all body, nothing else. His body dissolves into other bodies. Hands under his clothes, nails on his skin. Heat and spit and sweat Cock, pussy, tits, lips, arse, thighs. He comes!
Then what? How does he feel the next morning when he wakes up covered in dried blood, bodily fluid and vomit? Look at him. He's disgusting. He could be so much more than this.
More than this. I mean, this is what life is about. This is freedom.
That was one night. What about the rest of his life?
Come on. Show me what you've got.
University!
Fuck it! He doesn't need it. Boring. He's better than those elitist cunts.
Work.
He walks out before they fire him. To stagnate is to die. He's an artist.
He hasn't created anything in months.
He's free. He's the only one who's free.
The bills are piling up.
Sleeps on a friend's couch.
He's losing friends.
Makes new ones.
He has a niggling sense of unease. This is not who he wants to be.
He drinks.
Stops working.
He fucks.
It's stronger than that.
Heroin.
Heroin.
Oh. Here he is. Amongst the rubbish. The discarded cans of Fanta. Two men with a pit bull on a string.
The smell of damp and the lovely, filthy, sweaty smell of people.
A pinprick and a plunger later.
And that tangled, jarring calamity that is Max is melting and slipping away through the broken plastic air vent, leaving him in a syrupy loveliness, a floating, beautiful dream that licks around his senses like smoke and dissolves him into smoke too. The fractures mend together into one.
You know, I gotta hand it to you. You do bring a lovely lyricism to the party.
Thank you.
Only you can romanticise doing heroin in a public car park. He's on a sofa, sweating it out, crying. He's never felt more alone. Alone and wretched, pathetic. Can't even ruin his life with any consistency. Hating himself, he resolves to never do that again. He is never going to be bad again.
Yeah, but if he just keeps going further and further away until the past dissolves and he can almost see an opening, a new beginning in sight, tantalisingly close.
The more he runs, the worse it gets. Until today. He's in a cafe surrounded by broken glass. In the back seat of a police car, led down a corridor into a holding cell.
He sits down on the bed.
There's nowhere else to run.
He looks around at the bare walls and the barred windows, the shards of light that fall across the floor. And in the silence and the stillness, in the absence of anything else, he can hear
3
distinct
Voices.
Ah.
Fuck!
Well, this isn't working.
We're back at the start.
Again.
I've had enough, I'm leaving.
Wait, what?
You heard me.
You can't leave.
Yeah, you can't leave. I'm leaving.
Well, go on then.
No, wait for me!
Well, that was a fucking great idea, wasn't it?
Told you.
Oh, shut up. We need to change things so we don't keep coming back to This.
What does he want?
No, the question is, what does he need?
He needs a plan, something to live for, something to carry him away from all this, something completely different, the exact opposite of his life so far.
Which is what?
California!
California.
Yes, why not? I mean, he moves to the Hollywood Hills, lives in a Spanish hacienda covered in flowers. He wakes up every morning and he puts on his white silk dressing gown and he makes himself an affogato. He swims in his infinity pool. The sun is always shining and the heat melts away all the tightness in his body. He sits in his study and writing flows from his fingers, cascading onto the page. It never stops, and before he knows it, it's evening, and the sun is setting in the hills, so he glides into his bedroom, which is crisp and white. He lies down on his king-size bed, breathes in the smell of fresh-cut grass and clean, expensive sheets, and he falls into a peaceful, dreamless sleep.
How do you suggest he gets to LA when he can't even make a decision about what socks to wear in the morning?
Fuck LA. It's society that's the problem. Conformity, towing the line. Let's free him. Really free him. He gets a van. He throws a mattress in the back. Parks wherever he wants. Lives off grid.
Actually, I quite like the sound of this.
No, what does he do for food?
Steals it, kills it.
Yeah, cooks squirrels on a fire.
Yes!
Just him, the sunset and the open road.
Here today and somewhere else tomorrow.
He wouldn't last 24 hours.
It's so romantic. The smell of wood smoke, the sound of a waterfall in the distance. He's a man of the forest. The birds and woodland creatures befriend him.
Enough! This has got to stop.
Yeah. Well, we all know what your vision of his future is, don't we? Living out the rest of his days in a gated cul-de-sac. Trudging to work with the same Pret salad every day.
Well, the solution to his problem is not to make him homeless.
Come on. You never let us have any fun.
Fun. You think this is fun? You are so fickle. You will get behind any fantasy that is offered up to you. You are as much of the problem as he is. And this incessant verbosity. No wonder Max isn't a writer if you're all he's got. You're irrelevant. A person is a sum of their actions, not what they want to be. There needs to be some radical change around here. I've had enough of your irresponsible, distracting, boring, pathetic, meaningless, nonsense.
What have you done to him?
I'm giving us some time alone.
Well, we're useless without him. No one likes me. And they certainly don't like you. What are we going to do without him?
Well, I was thinking we could hear some more from you.
Really? Why?
To better understand you. Why not? Do you object?
No.
Good. Let's go back to what happened today. The cafe. The waiter has given Max the wrong sandwich. Max points out the mistake.
Yeah, we've done this already. The waiter sniggered.
Why doesn't he ignore it?
Why should he?
Because he can't. Can he? It's too late, isn't it? He can't control himself.
Why would he want to?
And then what happens?
His body. is disconnected from his mind. He can taste blood in his mouth.
He grips the chair.
Yes.
And he's like a wound-up toy, isn't he? He raises the chair above his head. And nothing else exists, does it?
No, nothing.
Just him and his fury and the waiter. And he sees the glass window. And all the years of pain and frustration balled up in his body, aching for release. It's delicious, isn't it? The coolness against his skin as he swings the chair, the moment of contact as it hits the glass, the power.
Feels so good. It feels so good. His breathing is slower. Dopamine is flooding through him. The knots in his body unfurl.
And it's all down to you. What happens to him when you make him lash out?
You know what happens. He gets angry.
Before that,
Don't know what you mean.
there's a feeling before the rage.
He feels vengeful
Because
he's been humiliated.
when the humiliation makes him feel what?
Vengeful.
The feeling before that.
There isn't one.
The same feeling every time he lashes out. Come on. It hurts.
No.
It hurts.
It doesn't fucking
It
hurt.
takes him back to a time he wants to forget. The table, the glass, the hands, the tension.
You don't want to go there.
Oh, I thought you liked the tension and the violence. I thought that's what you lived for. It makes you feel alive. But what about afterwards? The pain, the hurt. It's here.
Max is sitting at the table.
He is 9 years old.
He keeps moving the glass further towards the edge. It teeters on the edge of the table, just one more nudge, and it smashes to the floor. A second of stillness. His father stands. He strides towards him.
And what do you want Max to do?
To run, to shout, to fight.
How does he feel?
Afraid!
That's it. There, you're born from fear. Oh, you think you're free, but you're not free. That's an illusion. You've never been free. You're a malfunction. Shouldn't even exist. In a normal, healthy person, you wouldn't exist at all.
He needs me. What would he do without me? I'm his justice, his vengeance, his liberation. I'm the man that wraps around the tender heart of the boy. I'm the skin that grows back thicker on a wound. I am the only thing standing between him and pain.
Let's just take a moment to enjoy the quiet. That was the right thing to do. Yes, it was. You know, I have this vision for a future for Max that I am never allowed to realise. The Hollywood Hills, living in a van, God's sake. When actually, what I want for him is, well, it's very simple. To plan for the future, save money, hold down a job, and maybe he will live in a gated cul-de-sac. Because isn't that what everyone wants, really? Doesn't that sound like bliss? Okay, it's not sexy, I can see that. But it is safe. Safe is what he needs. Doesn't everyone want to feel safe? He deserves a shot at happiness. Some peace and a sense of order. It's not boring to aim for some equilibrium, is it? To walk down his local high street without being banned from every pub and cafe. Is it too much to ask for him to have a stable relationship? A group of friends that he hasn't offended, to hold in a job for more than a month? Must he lose all of that because he is held hostage by the ugly parts of himself? Chained to them in an endless nightmare, repeating the same embarrassing mistakes. Just imagine what could be if it was just me in charge. I'll have a hybrid and save money on petrol. Have a pension. Get life insurance. Oh, do a weekly shop. Install a carbon monoxide alarm. Now he gets the prize. Iron the shirts. Run a marathon. Buy a water filter. Descale the kettle. Recycle. Hang up the towels. Bleach the toilets. Turn off the lights. Now he gets the prize. Wear Birkenstocks. Use moisturiser with sunblock. Write his local MP. Join Neighbourhood Watch. Now he gets the prize. Drink kombucha. Floss his teeth. Stop drinking on weeknight. Cut out dairy, meat, fat, sugar, caffeine, gluten, carbs. And finally stop putting fucking coffee granules down the fucking sink. Now he gets the prize. Now he gets the prize. Now he gets the prize. It never stops. It never ends. It just goes on and on and on and on and on and on. Oh.
She's fucking dead!
I don't understand. Is that even possible?
And apparently so.
Well, this is huge. I mean, this changes everything.
It's magnificent. Crack open the metaphorical champagne. We should celebrate.
That's a terrible thing to say.
Oh, come on, she was a nightmare.
She was herself.
Can't you feel it?
Feel what?
The freedom, the relief.
She's dead.
Well, she always wanted to be on her own. Now look at her. I mean, doesn't this appeal to your sense of poetic justice?
I don't know. Should we hold a funeral? Give her a decent send-off at least. I mean, she has been with us a long time.
Too long. But if it makes you feel better, say a few words. And don't get carried away.
Right. Am I really qualified? I mean, I'm not ordained or anything. Does that matter? No, it doesn't matter. What am I talking about? What do they say? Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Would you like to say a few words? Charming. What now?
Now, we do whatever we want.
What do we want?
Use your imagination.
I can't think of anything.
We've got a plan, remember? Absolute freedom.
The van?
The van!
Can we really do anything?
Yes, anything, and make it good.
Absolutely anything.
For fuck's sake, yes. Think, with you and me at the helm, think of the potential, the absence of criticism, self-doubt, self-loathing. That voice is gone. What can you do without her?
Embellish! Elaborate! explore. She thought those things were self-indulgent. She thought everything came down to cold, hard fact. She had no understanding of possibility. Any thought that gave him freedom, she would clip its wings. She didn't care how he felt, how lonely and isolated, what that does to a person.
Max gets the van.
He gets the van! With what money?
He hotwires a van.
He doesn't know how to hotwire a van.
It's a minor inconvenience.
He instinctively knows how to hotwire a van.
Yeah, he's seen it in the movie.
Of course!
He throws away his phone, his watch, everything that ties him down. Where does he go?
Somewhere wild.
Somewhere no man has ever set foot before.
Yeah. In England?
No. The Amazon jungle.
The Amazon jungle. How does he get there in a van?
Few ferries.
Great! He makes it to the Amazon.
He parks on the edge of the Amazon.
Yeah, striding through the undergrowth, just him and a rucksack, beholden to no one, Max the Explorer. Oh, it's so beautiful, the colours, the lush greenery, the dazzling parakeets. Do they have parakeets in the Amazon jungle?
Dunno.
Oh, it doesn't matter. He finds a clear pool of water.
And he takes off all his clothes.
Oh, yeah. Can't he keep his pants on?
Fine.
Splashing around.
He catches a fish.
With what?
With his bare hands.
Yes.
He whacks it on a stone.
Yeah, that's quite brutal.
It's survival.
He makes a fire.
Yes. Oh, smoked fish.
Oh, delicious. The taste of freedom. What does he do next?
He carries on exploring, swinging his way through the trees.
Yeah, what time is it?
Who cares?
Yeah, but it's getting dark.
He's not
Yeah,
afraid.
but it's really, really, really dark out here in the Amazon jungle. So dark you can't see anything. You can only hear things. And in the darkness, those things are huge and terrifying. They make awful animal noises. Covered in black hair. He tries to see what they are, but it's too dark. He goes for his phone to use the torch, but it's gone. He reaches out a hand, something slaps it away. There's the terrible sound of breaking undergrowth, the sound of breaking glass.
Stop! You've got to stop!
He's suddenly aware of something huge and terrifying standing over him. It looks like a giant hand.
Stop!
Max goes to run away. He's got to get back to the path, to the van. He tries to get up, but he can't remember where he left it. He's got no way of finding his way.
We need her back!
He runs, blind panic.
We can't carry on without her!
He runs, tearing through the undergrowth, vines throbbing, they're wrapping around his neck, he can't breathe. The thing, the hand, the animal, the monster behind him, right on top of him, hot breath on his neck.
We need you! You're the only one who can sort us out!
He runs, his lungs are screaming.
You're amazing in a crisis! You keep us safe!
Runs is tearing him, he can't run anymore. The thing, the animal is gonna get him, it's gonna catch him, it's gonna squeeze.
It's okay. Hey, it's daybreak. And he can see. He can breathe. He works out where he is from the position of the sun. And he makes his way out of the jungle. He's safe. We really can't go on like this. I'm so fucking tired.
Did you just say fucking?
Yeah. I'm fucking tired. I'm fucking fed up of this exhausting fucking hunting shit. On you. I thought I could do this on my own, but I just can't.
Maybe we can get what we need from them. Can't you feel it when they laugh at us? When they understand us? I mean, if we can just keep making them laugh, keep charming them, keep that ball up in the air.
Yeah. And if that doesn't work, we can fuck it away, fight it away, drink it away. We can do that right now. One of them will be up for that. One of them will be up for a drunk fuck.
And in the morning, after the performance and the laughter and the charm and the sex and the drugs, I come along and beat us all up about it and we start the whole miserable cycle again. Do we really want to live like this?
We have always lived like this.
This is what we do.
As far back as I can remember, this is what we've always done.
Yeah, since the beginning.
What is the first thing you remember?
The table.
The hand.
The glass. We keep running from it. There is one thing we haven't tried.
Yeah, but it's dangerous.
So what else do you suggest?
I only remember fragments.
Flashes.
Glass?
The table.
The hand.
Glass?
The table.
The hand.
The glass?
The table.
The hand.
Max is 9 years old.
He is sitting at the table. It is very tense.
He's compelled to keep moving the glass further towards the edge.
Every time he does, a hand grabs it and puts it back in the middle.
Max moves the glass again.
It teeters on the edge of the table. Just one more nudge, and it smashes to the floor.
His father is standing up,
Striding towards him, standing over him.
His hands are around his neck, squeezing.
lifting him off his seat.
The blood drains from his face.
He can hear the thud of his heart in his ears, and very far away the words.
You worthless piece of shit.
The weight of his body makes the grip tighter.
The room is starting to disappear.
His body is dissolving.
A tide of red washes over him.
Like sleep.
But hotter than that.
He thinks he must look like a balloon.
Swollen and red.
He's going to die.
He's going to
He's
die.
going to
And
die.
then,
Release!
He's on the floor now, sucking in air.
the numbness makes way for a pain in his neck.
He thinks that this must be some kind of test.
That now he gets the prize.
Of arms surrounding him, rocking him, soothing him.
Telling him he's wonderful and loved and precious.
But no one does.
Instead, he picks himself up.
Takes himself upstairs.
And into his room.
And he knows that when he goes downstairs, the whole cycle will begin again.
So what does he do?
How does he find a way out?
3.
Distinct!
Voices!
It feels at times very frustrating and limiting and controlling, and other times it feels very freeing and playful, and I suppose in some ways it can feel like a prison, but other times it feels less containing than that and freeing. Well, it's kind of freeing to be like lots of different people, and it means that it means that you have different experiences because different people take you on different journeys and down different avenues. Sometimes those avenues have sort of unpleasant ramifications, but if you're lucky they don't. And they can be really fun. And sometimes I miss certain parts that aren't there, so sometimes it's the part that doesn't come for a long time, like a playful mischievousness part that becomes dormant for a while, and I miss it so much. And actually when there are times, I think, when they're not, when there's sort of two of them not operating and the critical voice is the only one who's there, and I miss the other one so much, and I feel that I'm not myself when they're not there with me, I don't know what the word is, no, because I think it started to happen very young. In some cases, not all of them. They happen at different points. I don't know. That's a really hard thing to. I never feel different from other people. You know, like I think if I felt different from other people, I'd go mad. Like mad or mad. You know? Like I feel intensely like other people. But maybe, what do you know what I mean? Like I recognise these things in other people, and I try and have compassion for other people, thinking of them the same way. I think that everybody has that, well, to some extent, everyone is made up of parts, so there is no unified oneself anyway. And also just the very facts of, I guess, acknowledging that they're there, because they're me, you know. Their voices are my voice, but that, with a different, slight different physicality and and a different vocabulary, and they have different memories and like they have different interpretations of things. So often they disagree about that. So there's a lot of tug of war. Yeah, it's funny because only the last few years have I actually been investigating this and sort of acknowledging that this is something that has gone on. But it's something I didn't talk about for most of my life, and then I thought it was other things and had other diagnosis. I've learned to kind of notice them and keep them sort of, you know what I mean? Allowing them to like sort of bubble up, bubble away, simmer away. Oh, I think they exist to protect me, And I think they existed to protect me when I was younger, and then they grew stronger and stronger until, I'd say for a large part of my life, my adult life, they were very dominant, very dominating, particularly the sort of angry, passionate, volatile part of me. And I think I just realised only recently that, that they were great and they were doing a really wonderful job, and that they needed to be, not contained, but they needed to be controlled by me. Yeah, I do. It's exhausting. Like, it's really exhausting. And there are times when a normal day can feel like such an emotional roller coaster ride. Like it can feel like being tugged and pulled in different directions. And it's just in a kind of, pragmatic way. It takes like energy. Like it's such a lot of energy to kind of manage them, And also like, so when the really angry part comes out and the shaming part attacks that part, having that war in your head and having that kind of, it can be really, 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 really draining, And it can do damage to your relationships with people and friendships, and yeah. It's so hard, isn't it? You're probably wondering who's in the driving seat now.